Another episode on this channel. This time, however, we're going to extract Red Shed and do an analysis of Red Shed, ready for new owner. So I thought I'd video this lot, tree strop in hand. So let's go and get it out of the potty tunnel. Right, here we go. I've taken out the upright, which was put in just to hold the frame in place, and now we're going to just drag backwards. All the tyres are up. Yep, all tyres are up. Let me get myself sorted out and I'll come back. Red Shed. Right, okay, let's do a walk around on Red Shed, because I don't think I've ever done one. I've got quite a lot of history on this, so I was able to get the V888 information out of DVLA before the GDPR lockdown on it. So I've got a long list of owners, which goes up to the 90s, and then there's a long gap from the late 90s through to 2014, when the chap that we bought it from got hold of it. Now, I phoned him up to see if he knew anything about that big gap in the history, and he said he bought it from a chap very near Hereford, and it had no plates on it. So he had to apply for a V5, and they sent him back the plates, the V5 with the plates on it. So he had to apply for it, doing the V whatever it is, form for the DVLA to get your new V5 certificate back. But he was able to apply for that just using the chassis number, which also appears on the chassis. We'll have a look at that in a minute, because he did tell me on the phone that he was able to locate the chassis number on the chassis, which is good news. Because more often than not, they're so faint, they rot away. So it's my theory that a lot of this modification took place in the mid to late 1990s. Prior to that, it was recorded as being white, and prior to that, it was recorded as being gold, Bahama gold, or Bahama yellow, or whatever you want to call it. That colour. No, there's an easier place to find it. That colour, Bahama gold. So I think that the missing period was when someone tarted up the old Duchess in the mid to late 90s, did all these modifications to it, stuck the white vinyl roof on it, trimmed the interior out, but left the car largely unmolested, apart from those modifications. Got to the extent where they even painted the slam panels, but obviously all under the engine bay was all painted black. Now we can see under the bulkhead over there, scratched, a bit of Bahama gold. Just been around and about, just checking the overall body structure, the body frame of this thing, and just checking that it is what it's supposed to be, which is all good news. So I just have a feeling that when the mysterious owner number 4 or 5, I can't remember which it was now, when they got hold of the car and did all these modifications, I think they stuck a vanity plate on it, a driving plate. And then when the car got towards the end of its kind of useful life, they transferred that vanity plate off it and left it in a field, which was pretty much where the chap that I spoke to bought it from, but with no V5, no documents, but keys. So I think that kind of explains it. Interestingly, first owner of this car owned it for a very, very long time. Bought it brand spanking new in the end of 1971. Owned a farm, New Forest kind of area, actually just up the road from the proposed next owner. So what have we got planned for Red Shed? Well, ideally I need to raise some funds, so, you know, it was the first one. It was Genesis as far as the Range Rover collection goes for me. So having done Alan, the 1972 white car, I think it's time now to let Red Shed, the 1971 project car, move on to pastures new. Now the next owner, I've been having lengthy discussions with him, is actually quite keen to buy my expertise as well as the car in order to perform a nut and bolt restoration, to do it as efficiently as possible, and also with quality parts rather than parts that aren't fit for purpose, you know what I mean. And I've got a little black book of contacts and things where I've been able to source parts from over the years in order to complete this. Now I'm going to be doing this, potentially doing some of the heavy duty work and a lot of the planning, helping the next owner, but it will be relocated to his garage. He's got a double garage that he's going to make the space. Should be able to do this in a double garage, just about. Now, with all the workshop tools and stuff, I reckon you need kind of 4 times the footprint of the car to do it comfortably. 3 times the footprint of the car would just about work, but bear in mind that once we've done an initial assessment, the first stage will be to strip this thing right down to its bare bones. Every single nut and bolt gets taken off, and then we assess the chassis, get the chassis repaired, build up the axles, get the chassis rolling. Meantime, the gearbox may well have been off to a specialist for repair, or we may have done it ourselves, I don't know. Engine will need a rebuild. I mean, as you've heard, it runs, but it's difficult to hear or assess the condition of it because it's so damn noisy, because there's no exhaust on it. And then just build it up, and then once the chassis and everything's done, that can all be masked up, and the body frame can then be rebuilt onto the chassis. Now, I've been over the body frame on this, and with the exception, I think, of the rear body mounts, all of the body mounts are roughly in the right sort of position. By that I mean, yeah, body mount down there on the front of the bulkhead, it's rotted, but it's still got some strength to it, and it's not allowed the body to collapse onto the chassis. Now, I've seen some A-Suffix cars out there where the floor pans are resting on the chassis rails and there's no reference point from which to start. So they become a bit of a nightmare to restore, really. So on this one, I'm fairly comfortable that the bulkhead could be removed from the car, or put back on the car again, and it will line up pretty much exactly as it is right now. But prior to that, we could build up a jig and get that restored prior to it going back onto the car. As you see, driver's door opens nicely. Interesting door trim on the inside, but it's got all its original door furniture, even down to the little piece that goes around the lock. Original, newer wiper handles, but not by much. And the A-post on this it's not terminal. You can see where it's kind of, I think someone's actually put some, oh, there's the white. There's white. The rubbers are, I would say, terminal, which is a shame because the reproduction rubbers are a bit shit. This rubber under here, under the door, under the sill, that's in good order. Pretty much every single piece of terminal rot you can see in here can easily be replaced, and then make up the gearbox surround again. All of this lot you can see up here, the rot in the footwell, all of that's just part of a normal panel. I'm not unduly bothered by any of this rot and rust around here. All of this is easily fixable. It's got a set of proper seats, but they've got 2 handles rather than 1. The original Range Rover, up until probably about the time this was made, had just 1 handle inboard of the seat. So if you look at any of the original 1970s promotional material, you'll see that people were reaching in to pull the lever up to move the seat forwards, and they're not spring assisted, and they're not particularly light. It's a bit of a task. So what some people did was just swap the 2 backs over from one seat to the other, and then move the seatbelt on them, so that you end up with the single handle on the outboard. That then brought within it a particular problem which affected quite a few of the I can't pull this seat forward on my own, but when you tilt the seat forwards, the outer handle now clashes with the door armrest. Which is why they didn't have the handle on the outside in the first place. Anyway, we're rambling. Fairly typical rot up here. It's the rear quarter window rubbers. I think they're retrievable. I mean, they're not the best out there. You can get brand spanking new ones. I don't have any idea as to the fit or the quality of them. because I didn't use them on Alan. I had a different mechanism I used. Top tailgate is jammed shut at the moment. I've got a plan about that because it's just dissolved. It's just no structure left in it at all. So I'm going to break the bottom rail off. I'm going to see if I can slide the glass down, and then I should be able to pull the side rails in once the glass is safely out. This glass here, there's a Sundim triplex Sundim. It looks like it is 70 or 82. But you're looking at the dots under here. So you've got 0, 1, 2. So it's something 2. Sundim hotline. Some of you guys, by the way, will have noticed that on the upper dash, it's got the diff lock light in the wrong location. And say, you got a fake car, you got a fake car, you got a fake car. It's also got a wash wipe button on the top dash panel. However, when we go to the rear of the car, it's never had a wash wipe on it. That's never had one on there. So I think what's happened again, as part of the history of this car, it's had the top dash area replaced. Now, I think that the top dash, that section over there that goes in front of where the fuck handle is on a normal, more modern Range Rover, more Range Rover Classic I should say, where the fuck handle sits, I think that panel should be flat. Now if we go in here, the one we've got is the same style as that on Lincoln Green. If we go to the other two, that's the style I think it should have, which is a very early style. Now this is the one that was parked in the field with the roof off. It's nice and warm in here. Honestly, we can talk about that when all the dash comes off. The winder on the other side, by the way, is the proper style. You notice it's got like a chrome ring. If you look there, that's where the window winder is. We'll get that door open in a second. It should be a laugh. And that winder's got the chrome ring around where the screw goes, and also the chrome ball in the actual winder itself. This is a later kind of design. I don't think I've got another one of those. I'm pretty sure that I was hunting high and low to try and find one for Alan. Now there's one on there, look. Look at that. Is this door open? This door does open. Oh, there's another one there, look. I need to get a set of wheels though for this, so I'll probably go take 2 off this and 2 off the yellow car, I would have thought, just to get a set with the correct small hole, centre hole, so they're riveted rims rather than welded rims. I'll stack these up. Anyone wants these, they might be up for grabs. I do like them. I might even be tempted to put the wheel arch extensions in with that lot. Let me know. But I'd imagine on that PCD, it looks like they've got a spacer behind, or it's part of the wheel, I don't know. We'll have the nuts off and we'll soon find out. It's not going to be difficult. Right, okay, so top tailgate. As I say, the plan here is to break this bottom rail off as intact as I possibly can. Now, this top tailgate actually has the really early catch. Now you can't see it really. It's the mega early catch in that the corner pieces, the corner locks, which are going to be useless because they're seized, are actually part of the bar. The bar is attached to them on both sides, whereas the newer ones, they have a threaded section here. So that's another nice, really early feature, but I don't think we're going to be able to save it. We'll give it a go. I'll do my best to get it off intact. What's this one like? This one's got a cover over it, so I can't tell on that one. That one's Splintex. Green. No top tailgate on that one. What's this one? That's quite a late one, that one. That's going to be 79, that glass. But again, what happened was these tailgates, they rotted out, and rather than buying a new glass, people just went off out and, got another one. Got one off a scrapyard or something. So what dates on this glass? That was a 72. The door glass is in there. We can dig down and wind the door window up. Should work. It does work. Bit of guano on it. Right, that's not that's the earlier manufacturer. I don't think this has got reg numbers anywhere on it. I'm surprised that when it had its private plate on it, in theory, cat prints, I'm surprised that it didn't have a oh, what screen have we got in here? We have a triplex, toughened triplex. It's got a 0, so the dot's underneath the T on the 0, so I suspect that's going to be a 1980 rather than a 1970, because 1970 would be a toughened glass. Right, I'm going to crack on with this. Really just getting bits off, putting bits on. Oh, I was going to get this door open, wasn't I? Right, beware. It doesn't have a bottom hinge on it at all. So when you open it, there's the bottom hinge and there's the door, utterly ruined. So I'm going to probably, I'll leave it on for the time being, but I need to get the car emptied out. I will throw a better passenger door frame in, door shell in. It might be that we can actually salvage the door skin off this thing. It's not in bad shape. But it's pointless me bolting another door on, purely because it's just going to be, you know, take it off again. But it needs to be secure and it needs to be weather tight. Stupid bird making a load of noise. Right, now we have got a world of stuff in here, so what have we got? Oh yes. Oh, it's got the original stems, but it hasn't got the original heads. So it's got the proper wing guard, twisty stems, it's got modern heads. That shouldn't be too much of a problem though, halfway there. You can get reproduction heads, mirror heads, but they don't look like that. I need to get all this out. These are probably the original back slidey windows here that were in the car, but once I get it all out, oh, there's a jack bar there, that's good news. So he's trying to assemble a toolkit as well for this. There were some bits in the toolkit. Some bits underneath that. They've all been robbed out. Oh no, there's another bit there. That, I think, is from a Land Rover, not a Range Rover. That's the Range Rover version. I know even that's not right. But I got a blacksmith that makes these up for me. Not particularly cheap, but he makes them up for me. Dare I wind this window down? It does actually wind down. But this door is spectacularly ruined. Good news is that I think we have got the original quarter light here. What they've done is they've put the new rubber, new style rubber. These are the rubbers that I ended up buying for the 1972 project, which turned out to be a complete and utter fucking waste of money. It cost me nearly £1,000 to put those fucking rubbers on. And it didn't get any more bloody interest in the car or any more hope in the car. Complete waste of money. But I think these rubbers will come off and be savable. Obviously we've got a problem with the quarter light here. They do come up from time to time. The glass comes out of the frames really easily. It certainly is in this case. It's going to drop out, so I have to be careful of gravity on that. And I don't know what the rest of the door glass frames are going to be like, but above the ground they're actually not looking too bad. I did think at one point that these back wings were glass fibre, but looking along the top here you can see the Burma Bright corrosion. So I think they are Burma Bright, these back wings, which I'm pleased about, because otherwise I'd have to find another set of rear wings. And these fellas actually look, because they corrode around here, you see, around the wheel arch, there's a rubber liner. Ah, which isn't there. There is no rubber liner. Oh, yes, it is there. where that dot is, that's about where they corrode, in a line around here. So you can see there might be some corrosion there, but it's certainly savable. Both those back wings. Let's have a look. Yeah, there's the line of corrosion, telltale, where the rubber sits up against the outer wing. You can see it more clearly on the blue car. See the line of corrosion. Right, gabbed on far too long about this. Let's start having a bit of an explore and see what we got in here. So, what do we find? I found the makings of another set of rear side windows. I seem to recall I did buy a couple. So there's a Sundim green side windows. There's a couple of driver's door windows in plain white. Clear, I should say. There's a jack, a couple of boot supports, a nondescript wiper motor, Itchy Fanny 5000, window regulator, no end of fan belts, repair panel for a for a 4-door, or a late 2-door, I guess. It's a boot side panel, which oddly enough mine needs. Now, as you can see, I've got the top tailgate open. I had to get a little bit creative with it. So basically, I cut through the frame on this side and the other side, and then used a pry bar against this edge here, just to lever it open. Now, here you can see this is where they adjusted them. Can you see that? That's where the adjustment was. So this end of the rod is threaded. Now these bits are unobtainium. They changed over this design quite early in the production run, and you can see both are the same. Now, I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm not going to go any further with this, because the next owner might wish to go and see if they can replicate this. Now, some of these bars are going to need replacing, because you can see it's just rotted out, but the whole thing is there and intact, but seized, solid. On the inside, check out this back seat. Look at that. Oh, some effort went into trimming that, really, didn't there? Really did. But the original frame is underneath it, which is good news. Front seats, again, fine. No real issues there. Didn't actually look at the dash when we were in here, did we? So what have we got? Got clock, oil pressure, ammeter, oil temperature. Largely unmessed with. Nice dash there. Looks all right, doesn't it? This is the tailgate glass that came out of the 72 project. Not me, but it's absolutely 9/10 welding splatter. You can see it there. You can see the dots on it. That is all welding splatter. Wasn't me. Glass is very susceptible to welding splatter, folks. Be careful with it. Right, I found the original side glasses that came with this car, so I've put a couple of others in it, which I want to hang on to if I possibly can, because they go with those other ones that you've just seen over in the yard. And the reason I put these in is because the original channels along the bottom here completely rotted out. Not uncommon, but you can get them. You can buy them brand spanking new. These are the ones that came off the car. So the glass is supposed to sit in that channel, and that bit goes along the runner, but as you can see, they're shot. What else did I find? Sorry. Assortment of wipers and arms. What wipers have we got on this thing? Have we got any wipers? We've got one wiper arm. I've got two now, because these will be, I mean, the wiper blades themselves are rubbish. Champion. Crikey. Should do a wiper blade fetish kind of video, shouldn't I? But there we are, there's the other wiper blade there now. I won't leave that. In fact, the other one is this type. You can see they're both this type. Let me just put that down on the glass like that, just so it's there. The rest of that can go in my lockup. Other bits we found. Quite a lot of rusty metal. Check out this. That's where the spur wheel goes. All of that lot gets replaced. All of it. There's nothing we hang on to there. It's all available in repair panels. So pretty much from the window line down. So this line here, from that line down, you cut it out, replace it completely, front to back. So I'm not overly worried about it. This side, so that was the passenger side, the driver's side, not as bad. I mean, it's still pretty horrendous, but it's not as bad. All the clips are up there for the tools. I managed to get the original handle off, but I've got no keys that fit it, but that's not really a problem. I can make keys up to fix these. Just get a new barrel if the worst comes to the worst. Sometimes, if you just a little bit of gentle heat, you can get these threads out. I'm not going to do anything with that at the moment. There's enough on there to get something onto it to remove that. So it's kind of like a jacking bar or something. Something. A foot mat. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hang on a second. I've got a use for you. Beautify this area. Ah, look. That's like a million times better already. Why didn't I think of that? Good grief. Right, so in here we've got a couple of tools. What I'll do is I'll assemble a set of tools together anyway. That's Land Rover, that one, not Range Rover. There's the spare wheel bits. I think the rest of this is crap. It's the remains of the bottom tailgate. It just fell apart. There's no structure to it at all. That can go up there. The rest of this, I think down here, is going to be scrap metal. There's a rubbing strip there, that's useful. Later car. Later two-door car. I'll hang on to that, you never know. And a couple of pry bars. Okey dokey. Right, let's have a little tidy up. And then I want to get this bottom tailgate changed over because I've got a better one in the unit that's not glass fibre. It will need replacing, but it's got all of the fixings on it. It's got all the correct fixings on it, let's say. And I think that's going to be important for this vehicle. Predictably, neither of the gas struts works, but they are the early style. You could get this early style again. I think Famous 4 are doing them. They got pins that they go through. And then I think we're going to start changing wheels over. Maybe this thing had black vinyl. Why did I think it had white vinyl? I think it had black vinyl. Okay. These boot rubbers, by the way, remove them carefully. The replacements are shite. They just don't fit. You saw the aggravation I had with the 1972 car, trying to get them to fit. Well, they fit, and then you can't get the bloody tailgate closed. So, yeah, I think the plan would be to remove this as carefully and as intact as we possibly can when this comes out, because they are gold dust. And then, because the early cars, you see the curve around this piece here, curve around the lock, whereas later cars, it just goes straight down. But because of that, I'll be very, very wary about destroying that seal. When it comes out. Right, let's have a clear up. I only needed to use half a grinding disc, a cutting disc in the end. That's a tool clip. Anything else in here? Right, let's have a clear up next, and we're going to do wheels, I think. Okay, got the outer arch off. Inner arch is really good. There's a little bit of mess there. It looks like it was a relatively new wing. They are Burma Bright. There's a bit of filler on there, but it's all going to come off really, isn't it? Probably want soda blasting. And it will all come out. Inside this arch, it's had a plastic liner put in. Probably to try and halt the ingress of rotten kind of shite. The chassis number. Yeah, so I think the arch is good. This front wing is Burma Bright. You can see it's been eaten away slightly. It's fairly normal eatage, that. Right. The wheel came off relatively easily. I've got... So they're quite nice, these, actually. I reckon they'll polish up and look really good on early Range Rover, disco one. I don't know what else the PCD fits. But I've got all the nuts and bolts and stuff to go with them. I think they'd look quite the business, and they've got all of their caps and stuff on them as well. So for tyres, we've got a right selection of wheels here. Someone did ask me the difference between early and late wheels, so let's go over to the container. Let's take a wander this way. Oh, da, 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 da. See the swifts, swallows, sorry. Swallows are back. There you go, swallows are back. Diatoms. Oh, that one might have been a swift. No, a forked tail. They just look black. Robin's over here. Look, there they are, right at the back. Next to the flickery light. Yeah, good to see him back. Not. Oh, of course it is. Don't be so silly. Right, okay, wheels. So what we've got here on these grizzly claws that came off the bobtail, I don't think they've ever been bloody used. I think the guy that did that work. So what we've got here, that's an early rim. Concentrate on the hole in the middle of the rim there. That's a later one. Look how much bigger the hole is. Yeah? Early, small hole. Later, big hole. Big gaping hole. I think they're both riveted on the steel wheels and the steel Rostyles. So here we got a nice early wheel. So the I think the drive plate that goes on the front axle doesn't protrude through the hole. I don't quite know why they made the difference for the later cars. Maybe there was a change of axle or something. But what I've done here is managed to find a right collection of tyres. These are Michelin's. These are the original style Michelin tyres that were got on the car when it was new. I don't think they're new tyres. They made these tyres up until about 1990, I think. That one's proper fucked. I'm not putting any air in that one. That will go in as a spare because it's good enough as a spare. Once it's been grip blasted and painted, that'll be fine. This one's going to go on the car. That was the spare that was in there. So that's going to go on the car now. I don't quite know what the owner's plan was in the event of having a puncture, because the wheel nuts won't fit those. So I've been and found a collection of wheel nuts around and about. So I've got 7 there. I've got 3 there and 3 there. We're going to have to liberate some nuts from somewhere. I've got a fucking great box of them at home. It's typical, isn't it? Lockdown fun, and this stuff is all in the wrong place. I sort of thought I had a box of them here as well, but I can't find it, and I'm not going to spend all this beautiful day inside looking for a box of nuts for now. What a doofus. Right, let's get this wheel on, and then this corner's done. I bought the compressor around just to pump the tyres up. There's no point me kind of videoing that. And I want to go around, do all 4 wheels, get all 4 extensions off, and then maybe today, perhaps tomorrow, I want to just check the engine starts on this carburettor, and then I can take this inlet manifold and carburettor off, which will also be up for sale at some point. I'll give it a good clean up. It's a Holly on a Noffenhauser manifold. Look at that. That's got to be worth a few quid, isn't it? I don't know. But I need to put the original style Rover V8 manifold on, and I've got a really good one actually in the workshop. Obviously I've been building a set at the moment anyway, but I've got another set in the workshop that's on a good manifold, but we can soon sort that out. That's not really a problem. Ha, beast. What a beast. Good looking motor though, isn't it? I do think, and I've said it before in other videos, the design for the 2-door Range Rover, I just think it's iconic. I just think that the way the perspective lines on it, I think the scallops down the side, I just think the whole stance of the car is just outstanding on a 2-door. I just think they are gorgeous. That's just me. 4-door, okay, sorry poor L95, 4-door, it's alright, I like it. Yeah, it's very practical, it's usable. I just don't like the lines when it comes to the LSE, the longer wheelbase version. They stretch the back doors a little bit. I just think they lost the balance of the car. These things are beautifully balanced, the 2 doors, absolutely beautifully balanced. They're gorgeous things. Anyway, there's enough gabbing on, enough whatever the word is for masturbation. Now I've said it now. What a tool. That was the inner wing there. Yes, we'll leave that alone. The other thing I found, which amused me, it's always important to patch your cars up with Duckham's oil tins. You can see the whole of the inner wing section there is completely missing. If we take the outer wing off, you'll just see, you know, daylight through to the engine bay. Again, these parts are all available, brand spanking new. On the 1972 car I did, I bought the hole in the wing section. I bought that from Easy Spares, Froggett's. Not the cheapest, but I was very impressed with the fit and the quality of them. Very impressed. Yeah, and I think that's what this is going to end up with. Again, it's got a Burma Bright front wing. It's got the wrong indicator unit on this side, but the really early ones are so hard to come by now. Basically impossible to find. And when you do find them, I've probably got one. That's the early style, you see. It's got no black stripe down the trailing edge. That looks different, doesn't it? All of the extensions have come off. Standard wheels on all four corners now, and there's a spare in the boots. Yeah, it's taken a few hours. I think I started this at about, I started thinking about getting Red Shed out, just gone 2, so that's been 2.5, nearly 3 hours fucking around. Well, I'll put a couple of slave wheels onto Lincoln Green. Oh, that's a good idea. Yes. Oh, yes. Swallows. Dive bombing the palm. Crapping all over Sandy the Landy. Right, so what next? I need to get, excuse me sniffing, a half decent tailgate out and fit that. I'm not going to bother doing anything more with the top tailgate. I'll leave that as it is. I need to put the bottom tailgate on and get this plastic one off. And I need to find a decent passenger door shell. And then I need to look at the glass that came with the car, which is in the plastic boxes in the back, because I want these two, because they match the set that I've already got. But the runners and everything have obviously it's only just these two slide windows that I need to hang on to. Yeah, it's quite smart now. Hiding in front of the big pink one. There's a long story about that. I didn't do that. I drove my Range Rover down with that on the roof rack, which I managed to, I think I sniped it for about 20 quid or something. And he was so cross that he only sold it for 20 quid. He had all the Galv cappings, but even so, he argued they weren't in the advert. It doesn't matter. I only bought it for the fucking Galv cappings. But then when I got there and looked at it, I thought, well, actually, no, the outer wings and the floor sections, they're all reasonable. But I was driving down the M4, M5 from home to Devon to come and drop it off down here. And yeah, with this on the roof of my Range Rover, every time I kind of pulled into a service station or something, yeah, there'd be truck drivers giving me a big thumbs up and a wink. Right, so we've got the right wheels on, we've got the wheel arch extensions off. All of them were screwed in around the lip. In fact, there's one screwed down there, you can see. They were just screwed in around the lip. So I think the majority of cases where the screws have gone in will be recoverable, if indeed the wings are recoverable. We don't know how much fella's in this. We really don't. We have to take it that it's complete and it's there. And these A-pillars haven't rotted through either. I've seen some of them. Oh, people asking stupid money, and there's no A-pillar. Give me something to work with. I mean, there is a limit to how shit a car can be before it becomes unrestorable. And this one's alright. Happy with this one. This is a beaut. Right, so, not today. I'm going to have a bit of a tidy up in a second to clear all the stuff in advance. So tomorrow I want to get this thing started up. Check it cranks over. I think last time I did this I ended up hot wiring it. Not hot wiring it, I had to run the coil because the ignition circuit for the coil wasn't working properly. So there's the coil feed. Something there, what's that? Oh, there's the coil feed. All the wires are all wrapped up. I can't remember how I got this thing started, but I'll be able to start it up. It's easy enough. As long as it turns on the starter, we'll be okay. Yeah, it starts up. Brilliant. Brilliant. And I can test the gearbox then, you see. Probably won't be able to go fast enough to test the overdrive. But generally, if it moves forwards or backwards, and it's not in neutral or high or low, sorry, it's not in, because overdrive is in or out. So if it moves forwards with it in or with it out, then, you know, we'll be okay. There's something we can do with it. There's no guarantees, of course, although you've seen this thing driving. That was 5 years ago. So I'm not even going to bother drawing the fuel from the tank. I will run my little gravity feed tank straight into the carburetor. I suppose I could run it through the pump, couldn't I? Just hook it in down here, because there's the filter. And that goes off to the tank there. I should imagine the tank is full of varnish by now. Okay, so I think that's quite promising so far. The start of a new dawn. Whoever Dawn is, I've got no idea. Someone, you know, let me know below who Dawn is. New era for good old Red Shed. I mean, I would like to restore it, but I want to do bobtail. And in order to do bobtail, I need money. And this is one way of getting it. But one thing that struck me about this when I first bought it was how together and straight it was. Okay, it's got rust on the body frame, but it is together, isn't it? And even on this side where the door has absolutely no shell, it's straightened together. I know it's outer body panels and I know the internal body frame is absolutely rotten. Although oddly enough, the sills are, I would say the majority of the sill is not in bad shape. However, because they've gone at the rear mounting point where they all go, it's not really worth pissing around with. They've also gone inside the car. So let's put Mr. Green King down for a second. When you're looking at these things, let's take the bit of carpet. Oh, good grief. Oh, you didn't tell me it's rusty like that. The sill extends up to here. That's all part of the sill. So the sill goes along here, all the way down to here, box section. So the box section's this wide, and the height of the sill. And then this big flap here, for now, goes on to the sill. And then the sill butts up to the floor pans, which come across here. So the screw holes along here that hold the floor, the sill panel to the footwell panel, and then the transmission cover panel is this piece here, which goes along here and then up there somewhere and round over the top of the transmission tunnel. And again, they all rot there as well. Seen a lot of work. Okay, let's see if we can get Redius Shedius fired up. So I've established that these two wires here are the two that come from, one from the starter and one from the ignition coil. Normally these things have a ballasted resistor set up. The connections aren't very good onto this coil, but they'll do. They will do. Now what's this? There's all manner of little wires and things kicking around here, but I think basically as long as we've got a 12 volt feed to the coil and we've got a good feed from the coil to the distributor, which has got the wrong terminal on it at the moment, so I'm just going to crimp another one on. I need an HT lead because there's no King lead on here. Then we can just double check that the thing flicks, the points flick open and closed. So let me go and do that. I better check things like, yes, we've got some oil in there. I might crank it over a little bit and see if we can get oil pressure, but I'm not hopeful. We've got a battery here to put in. Not hopeful that we're going to have an enormous amount of things working. So let us, right, let me go and get the bits assembled, crimp a couple of terminals, and we'll see if we can get him started. Could be worth a go, isn't it? Is there any pressure on this clutch? Do you know there is? We might even be able to go somewhere. Brakes are fun, but you know, can't have everything, can you? Right, let's go and do this. Okay, let's just check to see if we've got voltage. So I will put the correct key into the ignition, which is an old type of key. I've never seen one of these before. What's this one? Ball key. Never mind. He goes in. Might have the steering lock on. Just a minute. Sorry, folks. Yeah, we've got absolutely nothing up here. I'll turn the ignition on. This might end up being a big old hot wire. Without any power in the car whatsoever. Nothing. Okie doke. So it could be a shit earth. We've got voltage to there. The earth lead. Let's check we got these. Yeah, we've definitely got the earth lead the right way round. Is that's the positive post over there. So let's go and check the positive post at the back of the engine bay here. Right, we'll move him. Just move the multimeter here. So we're going back to this positive post. So we've earthed directly onto the battery terminal. And we'll take the multimeter, which is now tangled up. Marvellous. And we're just going to test against this post back here. And yeah, I'm getting 12.48 volts against a baseline of 12.48 volts. So it's got good voltage back here. I mean, okay, the terminal's disgusting. You can see it under there, but it looks like it's got voltage. Just checking down all the wires there. It seems to be okay. So I think the problem's possibly going to be on the back of the ignition switch. Let's just check, see if we've got any voltage at all at the coil. We haven't. I really want to get this thing turning over. It's not acceptable for it not to turn over. I don't want to start stripping it down because then it's just going to be a mess. Just wiggle the switch back and forth. Right, I can't remember if the ignition switch is fuse controlled on these things, so I might have to go and get the diagram. So ignition off. Let's go and see what voltage we've got to the various fuses. Ow! Fucking just bang my head on the fucking polytunnel roof. Right, fuse boxy. So we've got the start relay over here. One of these is probably the ignition relay as well. Right, so let's just check. So we've got 3 fuses. Right, got voltage to that one, voltage to that one. So the first one's got voltage, the second one has no volts, and the third one has no volts. So it is. Oh, we say we got voltage. No, we got voltage. Okay, no, that's all right. And that's all right. Now, the feed to the inside of the car goes through this big old connector at the back here. So I might just try splitting that and reconnecting it. Unfortunately, I've run out of bloody contact cleaner. I really ought to get some more. Okay, so battery's up here. Battery goes to the back of the starter motor and then goes to this terminal post, which is the one you can see down there, 59. Then it feeds off to the starter relay, which is over there, and I confirm I've got 12 volts, 12.8 or 12.48 volts at the starter relay. So it would indicate that the circuit is good through the connectors on the back of the bulkhead. I've broken them and remade them anyway. So then the next point where we get to the brown connector after it's gone through this terminal connector is it goes through via various connectors to the back of the ignition switch. do I take the bottom of the cowl off to see what the ignition switch is doing? I could probably take the top of the cowl off actually. I think it's only one screw that holds it. Oh no, it's 3 screws. And we could perhaps look at the back of the ignition switch. It's not terribly accessible. And I really don't want to be pulling the whole flipping thing apart. We're out of gear. Now, interestingly, there is a little switch down here, on and off. Oh, I wonder. That made a noise. Have we got an immobiliser switch on? No. Oh, we've got radio. We've got power to the radio. Is it this switch that's doing that? Right, it's doing something. I think it's the alarm. It's this fucker here. It's never helpful when you've got a whole load of crap wired onto the car that you just don't know what it does. So we've got power. Does the radio work? We have got an aerial here. Have we got lights? We haven't got lights. Let's turn the radio off. That's the alarm, I think. Right, so let's put lights on again. Still no lights. Okie doke. Oh. So this switch down here I genuinely think is just the alarm on off switch. Right, what next? What next? Power up to there, no power to here. We could take off the panel down here because that's only 4 or 5 screws, so perhaps we'll do that and we can get access to all the back of the electrics. It's digressing a little bit, but let me go and find the root cause of this, then I'll let you know. I'll let you know what it is I've managed to find out. Okay, so we've just got our 12 volt supply off the bottom of the fuse box. We take off the red and white wire and... Well, it turns. That's always a bonus, isn't it? Right, let me go get the screwdrivers. I'm going to take this this panel off the bottom of the dash. We'll work out what on earth is going on with the electrics. It's possible that one of the connectors underneath the dash has been nibbled away by a little rodent. I really don't want to be kind of pulling all that lot apart over there, but I guess it's also possible. So where's the radio feed coming from? So the radio is not coming from the ignition switch. 44. 44 is radio. So 44 would come off. In theory, it should come off the back of the ignition switch. Well, I don't believe it is. That's the theory anyway. So let's get this cover off the bottom and stop gabbing on about it and see if we can work out. But at least we know the engine turns, which is a Brucey bonus there. It's probably going to end up being a disaster, but there's a world of pain of kind of wires just spliced into the loom. I've got no idea which is the radio and which is the alarm. So I'm going to go Mr. Snippy. So we've got the alarm unit here, pulled the connectors off the back, and let's just remove anything that's associated with the alarm and take all this lot out. I don't know what all this lot is here. Where does this go down to? This goes down here somewhere. Probably to a hooter or something. Oh, there's an earth for the alarm there. That can go. I don't think there's anything else alarm related around. This is an old bloody what is it? It's a Moss. It's a Moss alarm. 80s tacular. I'm pretty sure I had one of these on my first stag. Right, now what's this green and white wire? This looks quite thorough, this one here. Everything is absolutely and utterly covered. It's like someone's been going berserk in here with anti-rust kind of slop. So I'll pull the red and the white wires back through. I want to find out what that green and white wire does, because it could be the one that's bridging the circuit. So where are we? I had a red and white wire coming through there's the red wire. That's the red wire. And that goes all the way over here. That's that out. And the other one was a yellow wire, wasn't it? There he is. He's out. Now, what's that green wire doing? I don't know what all that lot is. It's all just crap. So there's a green and white wire which comes down to here. And it goes along here, here, probably to one of the switches out the back. Right, okay, so I think, yeah, what we've got here is wires that go right the way through to various switches around the car, so we can just snip them. So I cleared all the old radio and everything out. All the supplementary wiring is now here. I'll keep that radio though, yes. Now, what we basically found then was that the ignition switch is dead. So you've got 4 wires from the ignition switch. You've got the feed that goes into the ignition switch. We've got the aux circuit. We've got the driving circuits, and we've got the starter solenoid. And I'm not getting any response back from those wires when I flick the ignition switch around. So I think the ignition switch is tired. I also found on my travels that, because obviously there's quite a few brown wires coming into this car, there's actually a bridge wire, which is red in this case, but it should be brown. And that connects all of the various controls up here. And the connector that was holding that all together had broken, just utterly disintegrated. So that's gone. What I've done now is made myself up using an old series ignition switch. It's got the auxiliary circuit, the ignition circuits, and the feed. And then what I'll do then is I will somehow bridge in the starter motor. So if we set up, sorry folks, if we set up down here and I were to flick the switch around to the ignition switch, we've got an oil pressure light on. There's no ignition switch on for some reason, but the oil pressure lights come on, which is good news. Are the lights working? Oh! Yes, they are. Lights are working. Well, that one is anyway. So that's good news. So we're getting some life into it. Let's turn the lights off because I don't want to drain this battery down. Now, what I was then going to do for the starter was find the starter solenoid switch that goes out to the solenoid and touch it onto the live circuit. Oil pressure light's gone out. We've got oil pressure. Oil pressure light came straight back on again. So the oil pressure's good. Fuck you. Yes, if you put your fingers across these terminals in the back here, you're going to get a shock. I know it's only 12 volts and all that, but still. Right, let's go and check next. What I want to check next is that we're getting 12 volts to the ignition coil. So let's bring the vomiter. I've left the ignition on. And I seem to recall last time we had a problem with the ignition coil. Yeah, I'm getting 12 volts to the coil. Across the coil, which is good news. So what I'll do, I will just turn the ignition off because I'm going to set up just to do a spark test on this thing. Just check that the points are sparking. Right, here we go. So we've got the spark tester thing in here. We're set to about 1/2 centimetre, which is good. Nice insulated screwdriver. We don't want electric shocks in here now. And we'll just flick the points open. We're getting no spark. Oh, we're getting voltage here because it's earthing against the... I suspect these points are fucked. Let's test voltage here. So testing voltage at the points. Right, the points are not earthing, so if I take the post, I'm not getting a reliable voltage to the coil, to be honest. I'm not seeing a spark. I'm getting 12.8 volts against a baseline of 12.4. Let's run a different feed to the coil, because this is the problem I had last time. I think it was the problem I had last time, whereby the ignition coil was not receiving a reliable signal. So just turn the ignition off. Right, ignition's off. There we go. Circuits are all dead. So we'll bypass the ignition circuit to the coil. Now I could probably do that using Mr. Jumpy lead here. So let's take. So I was using this chap just to extend the earth leads. One of my, sorry guys, waving the phone around like a fucking lunatic here. So now, if we come off, I think it was bottom of this fuse here. So let's just, oh, for fuck's sake. I need 2 meter long test leads on my voltage tester. So we're just going to go to the bottom of this fuse here and the top. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we're getting voltage there. So let me now, if I connect up this jump lead and connect it onto the terminal, we'll ignore this lead for now. I don't want it. I shall wrap it over there. It's insulated anyway. And we will hotwire the points and see if we're getting a better spark. So yes, I can confirm now we are getting a spark. So if I just flick the points open, I can hear it. Very, very weak spark, but it's a spark. Probably doesn't help that these points are so utterly fucking destroyed. There, there's a spark there. You see the spark between the points as well. But the condenser's probably fucked. Right, okay, now we're getting a spark. Now it's actually started to wake up the surface of the point. I guess I could have cleaned the points with a bit of a brown paper or something. But I think we're getting a more reliable spark now. So let's just disconnect the coil, because I don't want the coil to overheat. And then we'll try again on the start circuit. Shall we? Yeah, I reckon. We're still running 1,000-year-old petrol, but I just wanted to kind of just see what happens. It might work, it might not. Might have to put some fresh petrol in it. Right, where do we go to? So we've got rotor. Crikey, Lucas. Coils disconnected at the moment because I really don't want to be getting high tension sparks through my arm. Yeah, this distributed cap is utterly ruined, but it will do for the job. Now let's reconnect the dizzy cap. Right, distributor cap's on. King lead is on. Feed to coil is on. I know I'm going to put the ignition on. I just want to see the oil pressure light go out, you see. Let me just, 1 second, do this. And then I'm going to bridge onto here. Oh yeah! How easy was that? It might not. I am going to call that a success. Holy crap. Right, there's a couple of things I need to disconnect now. But it started and it ran and the oil pressure was out. Let me just disconnect this. Crikey, that got warm. It goes! Celebratory. Oh look, 5 o'clock, Sunday, it is allowed. Celebratory. Today's beer is brought to you by Hobgoblin, the brewery of choice for the discerning Range Rover bodger. Whichwood Brewery. My father's come over as well, he heard the noise. Probably needs to do this. Let me just video it and I'm just going to start up again. Getting oil pressure. There's no output from the amateur because the fan belt's off, which is why the ignition light's on. Holding the throttle down with my foot. Filling up with smoke. There's no exhaust on it. That's outstanding. I don't think we're going to get to test to see if the clutch works because I've got no fan belt on it and I'm really kind of a little bit concerned that, oh that's warm now, I'm a little bit concerned that I might be doing damage to it, but the engine runs and it's got good oil pressure. So for me, that's mission accomplished. That is mission accomplished. Well, I hope you'd enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down if you must. You absolutely must, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, subscribe if you want to see more and of course subscribe if you want to see more of Project Red Shed, the shed of extreme redness. How about that, eh? Right, next week's lesson we're going to start up a rusty lawnmower. No, I'm pleased with that. Genuinely chuffed. Actually, no, the thing I do need to do is I've got to change over this exhaust manifold. Sorry, this inlet manifold. I've got a Stromberg unit to put on there. But that is good, disconnecting battery, because while the loom appears to be working now, well, I knew that the root cause was largely the ignition switch and also that dodgy multi-connector, bullet connector. I'm not going to tempt fate. So there's no tempting of fate whatsoever. But yeah, what about that? Good old Red Shed. Good old Red Shed. Right, I think on that note, I'll go have a lug of beer. Now, the wipers did start to move when I tested them, but then they kind of stopped. I'm not going to force the situation, but the wiper motor would appear to be receiving power. I think it's pretty much the same wiper motor on these things, regardless of age. How about that? Good grief. Oh, I is happy. I is happy. Nice one, Richard. Thank you very much.